Welcome to Smart Cosmos. This is the Extension Developer Quick Start Guide. If you're looking to create extensions for Smart Cosmos objects and you're interested in setting up your development environment, you're in the right spot. Over the next couple of minutes, we'll walk through the setup of a development environment for Smart Cosmos objects. But before we get started, if your interest is merely using a programming language like Python or Ruby, .NET, or perhaps even Java, just to call into an existing object server using REST web services, then you're technically not developing extensions. In this case, you might want to consider stopping the lesson and instead review the materials at our Partner Development Portal and our REST API documentation. The Partner Development Portal can be found at partner.smart-cosmos.com, and our REST APIs can be found at api.smartcosmos.net. Extension developers are interested in creating one of the following 5 types of extensions: server extensions, service extensions, event pipelines, batch handlers, and transaction handlers. This course is a quick setup guide for a development environment. It will not cover how to create any of these extension types. Again, just to reiterate the point that was made in the last slide, if you're not looking to build one of these 5 extension types, then odds are you're probably just looking to create a client using the REST web services, and you should refer to the documentation found at the URLs that were mentioned. One important point worth noting is that the extension developer must use Oracle's Java SDK. OpenJDK is untested and not supported for development of objects extensions. While an understanding of Java is critical, it's only suggested that developers have experience with GitHub and Maven. GitHub is necessary because a number of open-sourced samples, as well as the framework API, are available for cloning off of GitHub. Maven is our target development build environment. So, for example, if you want to build or compile any of the samples downloaded from GitHub, by default, this can be accomplished with the Maven POM file that is included in the package. Extension developers should also have exposure to design patterns. In particular, the DAO design pattern is referenced extensively throughout the Smart Cosmos curriculum. By using the DAO design pattern, it ensures that business objects that are today based on, say, MySQL, tomorrow can be based on Cassandra without having to rewrite or rework any of the logic within the business object. An understanding of basic design patterns, including singleton, DAO, factory, builder, etc., are very helpful when working with Smart Cosmos objects extensions. All extensions are built in Java, and as such, the primary set of Java frameworks that are used include, obviously, the Java SDK from Oracle, Dropwizard, which provides a collection of frameworks in and of itself, and the JavaScript Object Notation, or JSON library. Collectively, these 3 represent the primary or the foundational set of technologies and frameworks that the object server and thereby object extensions are all built upon. Sitting on top of the primary are the secondary frameworks. These include Hibernate and Java's Jersey framework for RESTful web services. If you're going to be creating server extensions, you'll have the opportunity to create your own custom entities, which should be annotated using Hibernate's JPA, or if you're just creating additional web services, you'll need to annotate those classes using Java Jersey. Therefore, the secondary set of frameworks of Jersey and Hibernate are particularly important when working with any server extensions. Finally, if you're getting into service extensions or batch or transaction handlers, it may be necessary for you to utilize the embedded Quartz engine or the metrics annotations in order to actively instrument the code and to know how much performance you're gaining out of the various endpoints, batch transaction handlers, etc., etc. Collectively on this screen, we can see all of the frameworks that an extension developer will be working with when developing extensions. So the first thing we need to do is verify our development environment. I want to verify that I have at least Java version 1.8 or later installed. To do that, I'm going to type Java space -version, and yep, sure enough, I've got 1.8 installed. So I've got the right version of Java. A lot of the sample code, including examples that come with Smart Cosmos, are built using Maven. This includes our open source samples at GitHub. So I also want to verify that I have the correct version of Maven. So I'm going to type mvn for Maven space -version. And sure enough, I can see that I've got 3.3 or later installed. It's also worth noting that Maven tells me that I've got the Oracle version of the JDK installed, which is perfect. So at this point, I know I've got the right development environment set up to begin developing Smart Cosmos extensions. So to recap, it's important that your development environment be running at least JDK 1.8, and it's also critical that Maven 3.3 or later also be installed on your development environment. Here we can see the Maven Central repository. The central repository can be accessed at search.maven.org. If we look for group ID net.smartcosmos.extension, at the time of writing of this course, the current version is 2.10.13. We can actually see the following Smart Cosmos extensions, including the Smart Cosmos extension Archetype. This information is critical because, as we'll shortly see in practice, we can use the Smart Cosmos extension Archetype along with Maven to create a sample development environment for us, complete with a stubbed out server extension and a couple of other neat bells and whistles. Okay. Now that I have the right Java and Maven version installed and I verified this, what I want to do is actually use a Maven command called an archetype generate. And what the archetype generate will do is take a set of source code and create a project for me automatically based on some templates. In order to use the Maven archetype generate command, I'm going to put it in batch mode, which means I'm going to provide 2 coordinates for it on the command line. The first coordinate that I want to specify is the coordinate of the actual archetype from Smart Cosmos itself. And the group ID for that is net.smartcosmos.extension. The artifact ID that corresponds with this is the archetype artifact ID equal to Smart Cosmos-extension-archetype. Finally, every coordinate in Maven also requires a version, so I'm going to specify a archetype version in here as well, and that version is going to be 2.10.13. And it's worth noting that we will be releasing new releases of the archetype on a regular basis, so it's important to use search.maven.org to look for and verify that you're using the latest version of the archetype. The second coordinate that needs to be provided is the actual coordinate of the code that's being generated. So I'm going to specify a group ID of com.example, an artifact ID of let's say foo-extension, and then finally the version of 1.0 snapshot. Finally, I do want to control the package that is generated for Java, so I'm going to specify that the package should be equal to com.example.extension.foo. And with this Maven archetype generate command completed in batch mode, I'm ready to execute it. And the archetype will be downloaded from Maven Central, so you do need an internet connection. It will use those parameters that were provided, and it will create for us successfully a stubbed out project that we can work with. So in fact, if we look, we now have a folder called foo-extension, and inside of that we can see that we have a POM file as well as the code generated source that we'll look at next inside of our IDE. Okay, here we are inside of a development environment, and I've imported in the code that was generated, and I can actually see the structure I can see the pom.xml, the README file, as well as all of the classes that were spit out by the archetype generate command. One of those classes is the example extension, and if we look at the example extension, we can actually see it has some notes in here for the developers to consider, as well as some sample for registering everything from DAO and entities to other additional configuration examples. At this point, we can show that the code that was generated does indeed compile. If we do a Maven compile on this code, we can actually watch Maven run through its paces. It will then proceed to compile the code, and we've confirmed that not only do we have a development environment set up, but we can successfully use the archetype generate command to create a stubbed out extension that we can use as the foundation for additional work and new designs. Finding the analysis, and there we go, build success. So as we just saw, we're able to use the Maven Archetype generate in batch mode to create a sample project for a Smart Cosmos objects extension. This sample project is useful because it provides a directory structure, all of the pom.xml definitions, etc. required for getting started. The two things that we have to specify when working with the Archetype generate include the archetype coordinates, in this case net.smartcosmos.extension with an artifact ID of smartcosmos-extension-archetype and a version of 2.10.13 or later, and then the coordinates in Maven that you're going to assign to your project. In this case, we used com.example with an artifact ID of foo-extension and a version of 1.0-snapshot, as well as specifying the package of com.example.extension.foo. By leveraging the Maven Archetype generate in batch mode, it's very easy to set up a compiling development environment for an extension. In conclusion, the Maven Archetype generate command will run through the process of creating a stubbed out sample development environment that can be successfully built. In fact, as we saw in the IDE, the complete project structure includes a sample server extension with the name of example extension, which also provides a sample JPA annotated entity, a sample DAO, as well as a sample configuration that can be referenced. Over time, this archetype will generate additional examples, but for now it focuses primarily on server extensions. If no modifications are made whatsoever to the sample code generated by the archetype, you can drop down to the command line and issue a Maven clean install, and it will successfully compile all of the various artifacts included from the generated archetype code. At this point, your development environment for Smart Cosmos objects extensions is set up, complete, and verified. The next steps include exploring the learning paths at Smart Cosmos Lessons. If you don't already have a code to create your own account at Smart Cosmos Lessons to become a Smart Cosmos certified engineer, just email us at api@smarttrack-group.com. After you've explored, you can then create and register your creations with our partner development portal, design any number of custom Smart Cosmos extensions, and ultimately sell them in our Smart Cosmos market. Join the IoT revolution. Monetize the IoT. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any feedback about the platform. We're excited to welcome you to the Smart Cosmos family.